Welcome back in. It's time for Money Tuesday, and after someone passes away, there's usually one person designated as a person representative to help follow the will. The process is usually simple for an organized estate. However, most estates can be quite disorganized. Marshall Clay with the Welch Group joins us now with some tips to kind of protect yourselves if you're in this situation. Good to see you this morning, Marshall.
Hey, good to see you, Mike.
We were talking during the break. I always thought this was called the executor of the will, but it kind of means the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's really three ways in which assets can transfer upon someone's death. The first is through title, the second is through beneficiary designation, and the third is through the will, through the probate process. And so I think your viewers are probably familiar with titling. If you're a married couple, you often have things that are held in joint title, and if one of the spouses passes away, those assets automatically become the other spouse's assets. Your viewers are probably familiar with 401ks, IRAs, and insurance policies where things pass through beneficiary designation. But it's this third way, the probate process, that can cause those executors, those personal representatives, to have to do a little bit more work. And so I tell people, the first step as an executor is really to understand the probate process, sort of set expectations on the front end about what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at least a 6-month process to open the estate, to gather assets, to allow creditors to come in and make potential claims on the estate, then transfer those assets to the rightful heirs, and then finally close the estate. Now that 6-month process, that's sort of a minimum length of time. If there's challenges to the will, if people disagree with what the will says, they can commission the court, to challenge those things, so it can extend the process. Obviously, if there's more complicated assets like real estate or businesses that need to be sold, obviously that can extend the length of it. Mm-hmm. But just understanding that process on the front end is really important. And then the second thing I tell people, when you're talking about that gathering of the assets process, know where to look. And I get calls all the time, and unfortunately they say, my father passed away. What do I do? I don't even understand where to look for any of this stuff. And I say, look, the first place you probably need to look is look for the tax return, right? Most people hold tax returns for at least, or they should, for at least 3 years. So that can be a wealth of information where you can really inventory and gather a lot of the assets. And then you can start looking at, old mail. You can start looking at the courthouse for land and real estate. And then finally, you can go and look to commission banks or make inquiries to banks and financial institutions to see if there's other assets out there. So just understanding the process and knowing where to look is very important.
Marshall, obviously for those of us who are still among the living, it's a good idea to help us, we pass on this information or get it documented somehow so it helps our loved ones. But if we don't and it ends up in probate, which we know can be an arduous process, as you just mentioned, trying to get stuff out of it, would it be a good idea to hire an attorney at that point, or could that just really become too costly for yourself and that maybe you could do the legwork yourself?
Yeah, I would absolutely go through the process of getting a will. If you don't have a will, guess what? The state of Alabama has a will drafted for you, and they will appoint a personal representative to administer your estate. That's often not going to fulfill what your wishes would be. So certainly I would recommend your viewers, go through the will process. But if you find yourself as an executor, as a personal representative, I also think there's some value in eliciting the help of an attorney, because they've been through it, right? They understand the process. They've seen it all. And so don't sit around and rack your brain about what you're going to do to sort of get yourself through this. An attorney or a financial planner or someone like that can definitely help.
All right, some good information there from Marshall Clay from the Welch Group. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mike.
I know a lot of people are dealing with that. Up next.